Okay, welcome to this presentation on the SOAR strategy. I'm going to give you a brief outline of the SOAR strategy. That is a strategy for studying at the college level that has been proven to be most effective. And why SOAR? Because researchers have found that this works better than other methods. Suppose that you wanted to rake your yard and you wanted to get it raked 100% and you wanted to rake it in an efficient time period. Well, suppose I told you then that suppose that normally you rake your yard with your right hand. That's what all your neighbors do. That's what your family's done for generations. You know, it's just the thing that's considered the normal way to rake the yard. It's just everybody assumes that's the way you rake the yard. But then what if I told you researchers had studied different ways of raking yards and they have tested it out and found that when people rake with their left hand, they can rake the yard in half the time, and they get 100% of it raked. And when they compared people raking their yard with their right hand, the people with their right hand only got 80% of the yard raked. The people who raked with their left hand got 100% raked and got it done more quickly. Which one would you want to use then? Would you be encouraged to try using your left hand? Well, studying is similar to that because researchers have found what types of study methods work better. And the SOAR method is a method that has been proven to work better than other methods students have used. And the difference is pretty big. When researchers tested, experimented, and found that had students used the SOAR method and students used the method they were most normally used and were comfortable with, and compared that, they found that students using the SOAR method, the same students scored 29 to 63 points higher. That is a huge difference. It's like the students who used the SOAR method scored the A and B level, while when the same students used other methods, they scored at the D or F level on studying the material. So that's a good reason to use the SOAR method. It's going to make a difference. It might be a little uncomfortable at first to try to use a method that you haven't used before, but you'll get used to it. And when you see that it really makes a difference in your grades, then that'll be its own reinforcement. So let's talk about what that means. The SOAR is really an acronym for selecting, organizing, associating, and regulating. And what researchers have found is that learning occurs best when S, selecting, when important information is selected from less important ideas. When O, organizing, that is when selected information is organized graphically. When A, associating, that is when associations are built into, are made between different ideas and concepts. And R, regulating, when understanding is regulated through self-testing. So basically, this table you'll find in your book that breaks that down a little more for you in more everyday language. And I'm going to talk about each one separately and explain it and give you some examples. So selecting is when you distinguish what's important from less important information. And so first of all, you got to find out what it is you're supposed to learn. Organizing is when you convert that information into another format, and I'm going to give you some examples of that. Associating is when you recognize connections between different facts or concepts or ideas. So how can you do that? And why is that important for college level learning? And then regulate just means to test yourself. It's that simple. And you need to do that at regular intervals, and that's something that many students don't do very well, and they could really improve their grades just simply by having a regular habit of regulation, testing yourself before you let your professor test you.